Good afternoon, everyone. Hope things are well. Plenty of positive news coming out from inside Newcastle United. They have spoken out over the past couple of days, talking about our plans going into this transfer window. In my personal opinion, I've stated already, I believe this summer will be one of the most ambitious summer windows in the history of Newcastle United. Not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Of course, pre-season, we're going to Singapore and South Korea. So we're going out to different parts of the world to globalise our football club and to bring in a much bigger fan base. For me, we will be going every single game. So make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content out in Asia. Did you know 58% of you watching this video are not subscribed? Now, that's actually quite a healthy stat for YouTube, by the way. It might sound a bit bad, but honestly, that's actually quite good because it means that almost half of you watching come back every single time they keep watching me. So thank you so much. But going back on topic now to Newcastle United, I feel like we should get the little negatives out of the way first because we have lost a couple of transfer targets over the past few days. The big one being Liam Delap. Now, it was no secret that Newcastle wanted to sign this player. Craig Hope has stated that Newcastle had been speaking to his agents but never felt like they were front of the queue. They always felt like somebody else was ahead of Newcastle. Now, this is an issue we're going to have in this transfer window, and it's one of the few problems we will have this summer. Issue being, we need a striker that is coming into this football club and knows they are going to start behind Alexander Isak. Now, that's a huge problem because we need a striker that is good enough to be behind Isak, but also a striker that knows to be number two. Now, most strikers will want to be number one. And Liam Delap, in his defence here, going to Chelsea, he might start behind Nico Jackson, but Nico Jackson and Alexander Isak, there's not much of a mountain to climb. So Liam Delap's joined the football club. He knows he's going to get game time up because he could just overtake Nico Jackson. But whereas Isak, there's a massive gulf between the two players, and it's not incentive for Delap to come to Newcastle because he won't get as much game time. And that's a bit of an unfortunate issue. Now, my personal way of going about this and how I would personally deal with this is I feel like Newcastle should be signing a player who is out wide but can also play a striker. So you're bringing in an option out wide, but is versatile enough to be across the front three and can be a backup as striker. So you'll start maybe ahead of Murphy, but then you can start Murphy one match and then bring a player into the middle if Isak's injured or you want to rotate around. You need to give Eddie Howe options in terms of where the player plays across the pitch. And I personally feel like that's the best way of going about it because it's going to be hard and it's going to be brutal in this window to sign a striker because not many strikers out there will want to play behind Isak. All of them will want to start, or all of them will want a way of getting into the team. And I would argue this is a little bit of a negative towards Liam Delap as well because he's chosen Chelsea, a team that he knows will be easier for him, rather than coming to Newcastle for the challenge under Eddie Howe, the challenge of Champions League football, Cup games, Premier League, all at once as a team that is not as decorated as Chelsea. So, in my personal opinion, I don't think it puts Liam Delap in the best light either because, again, I think he's picked the easier move out of the two. But I've got to respect it. He's went to Chelsea. He's probably going to start ahead of Jackson. Whereas at Newcastle, no chance in hell is he starting ahead of Isak. So, again, I think it goes either way, but that is a transfer target Newcastle have lost. And to give an obvious example of a player Newcastle should be going in for that can also play up front, Brian Mbeumo over at Brentford. Surely this is the guy that is going to come in at Newcastle and will solve all of the issues we had this summer window. 20 Premier League goals last season, 27 goal contributions at Brentford. They haven't got anything to play for next season. He's available, in my personal opinion, at quite a reasonable price. I reckon around £70 million will bring him in. Now, I know when you compare £70 million to a guy like Isak, for example, who costs less than that, but look at Mbeumo's stats. Look at what he's been able to do at Brentford. This is a versatile option. He can play all three areas of the front three and is someone that is a massive upgrade on Newcastle's team. If we're going to splash the budget out in one area, this has to be the guy we are going in for. It's been reported by local journalists that Newcastle are growing increasingly confident they can get this deal done. But at this stage, it's still just a little early. It still hasn't looked like Newcastle is throwing everything into one basket. It's more so they took a step back and they're slowly going into it now. As much as we all criticised him, we're going to talk about him now. Paul Mitchell is still employed at Newcastle United. We know he's on the way out, but he is still employed for 9 months. So this guy is still doing his job. It's a bit of a dodgy situation, if you had to ask me, because the problem being is that this guy's going out the door. He's been ridiculed on social media from us. It's no secret. Journalists have picked up on it. He does not get on with Eddie Howe. And this guy is still employed for 9 months. So this guy is still doing his job until the end of June, which means that this guy is going to be at the front end of transfer. He's going to be the individual in there that's going to still be attempting to get deals done. And I don't know if it's the best business model for Newcastle, because this guy is clearly going out the door. He doesn't get on well with the staff members behind the scene, and then he's still doing a job at Newcastle. So surely, as soon as possible, let's just get Paul Mitchell out. We get somebody else in, and we just do the job, because he's been a bit of a bag egg behind the scenes. I think Craig Hope's described it quite well. Didn't get on with Eddie Howe. He was extremely vocal towards the football club. Felt like Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento, we overspent on them. Is this guy mental? Lewis Hall, £28 million for a 19-year-old from Chelsea. Their best player by far in a team of absolute shite that season. £28 million rip-off. Are you mental? He's such a good sign for £28 million. Livramento, fair enough, for around the £32 million region, because he did have quite a bad ACL tear before coming into Newcastle. Both of these players now, though, 100% are worth well over double what we paid for them. So, yeah, horrible opinion for Paul Mitchell. And the fact that a staff member at our football club is going out of his way to criticise Eddie Howe, criticise the transfer model, and to criticise our ownership and how we sign these players, never going to end well. Need to get them out as soon as possible. But unfortunately, this is another issue we currently have, because the guy is still employed at Newcastle. We've always slagged him off on social media, and this guy is still doing his job for 9 months. So unfortunately, that's probably going to be a bit of an issue as well in the transfer market. But Brian Mbeumo, whether it's this month or next month, I'm confident Newcastle are going to go in for this guy. I think we'll do everything in our power to sign him. Of course, with the goal contributions he has, it's going to be a bit of a tight transfer battle. Our teams are probably going to want him, but in my personal opinion, I reckon this is transfer target 1. I think this is the guy Newcastle will go in for. I'm confident over the next couple of weeks, we'll see something official from Newcastle. They'll dump a bit in there. They'll test their luck. They'll plant their hands into the water, and I think Newcastle will be going in for this one. This is surely the sign that is going to solve our problems, and I feel confident that we can do it. As for Newcastle United and what they have said so far about this transfer window, Luke Edwards has came out and said that the club has taught him everything is in place, all the work that has been done on players has been finished, and now we have to push the button and get those deals done. We know who we want. That does sound like a confident Newcastle now. To give you the obvious point, the FFP and PSR shenanigans is out of the door. There is nothing holding Newcastle back. There's no restrictions. There's nothing that's blocking Newcastle's way in this window. We now have control. Newcastle now have that window. We've just won silverware. We're in the Champions League. We have everything we need behind us, and we are pushing forward. This is the window Newcastle will do well in. There's no excuses anymore. There is nothing that is going to stop Newcastle. This has to be the window where Eddie Howe gets the players he wants. He gets the backing and the financial gain that he needs, because Newcastle, we've seen it last time in the Champions League, squad depth is holding us back. I'll give you an obvious example. Villa Park last season got smashed on the day, and just look at the state of Aston Villa's bench compared to ours. You can't even compare those two benches. Their bench is far superior than us, and that's why I personally believe, even though Newcastle, in my opinion, has a better starting 11, I think Villa's overall squad at the time was better because of their bench. The bench is just so much better now. So we need to make sure we have the options available, and we will do it this summer. The fact that the club has came out already and said that we know who we want, everything's getting put into place. They're confident themselves. They know now this is the window when Newcastle's going to do well in. And you guys, I feel like, can sit back, relax, take a sip of your beer, your pints, whatever you drink. You can sit back now, enjoy yourself, enjoy the warm weather today, take in the sun, bask it in, and just know that Champions League football next season with some mega signs. I think Newcastle will have a couple of big signs in them. Mark Gay of Crystal Palace, the club still wants him. The club hasn't walked away from him, and You've seen it towards the back end of last season. Eddie Howe starting to implement the 5-back against some of the better teams in the league. Eddie Howe clearly interested in trying out different defenders, and Mark Gay would fit straight in. This is a sign we want. This is a sign I think Newcastle can get. And one final point to leave in regards to Gay and Mbeumo. 12 months left and both of their contracts. The clubs now either have to offer them a contract extension or sell them in this window. If they don't sell them in this window, they could lose them on free next summer. They need to either have the contract sorted or to sell now. Newcastle knows that, and Newcastle will go in now and they'll apply pressure. They'll try and employ the players. And if the players want to move to Newcastle, something will give. And I think Newcastle know that, and Newcastle are going to clearly try and do that. So for now, this video is just making you all relax a little bit, to tell you what's going on behind the scenes, to tell you what is happening at Newcastle United. And although we may have lost a couple of transfer targets already with the likes of Delap and Cunha, Newcastle now know what options they want to get. They've got a list of players they're going to go in for. And over the next few days, this early on already, I think we'll see action. I think we will see Newcastle doing something. I think they'll test the waters, and I think they'll try their luck with some of these players. Stay tuned, stay updated. You will find out first about it on this channel, so make sure you stick around. Take care, and we will see you all in the next one.